Hey guys, for this episode of Outsmart the Hustle, we are bringing back Ray Myers with EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. He is an amazing business coach, speaker, tornado chaser, guitarist, and he's coming back to just share his story of entrepreneurship within his 9 businesses. Guys, 9 businesses, some not successful, some successful. It's part of that is just the serial entrepreneurship of like, let me solve problems and see what sticks, right? So we're going to go through his whole journey there in about the 40 or so minutes. And then he's going to share so many good things that you can start implementing into your business today. I definitely walked away with at least 5 things. You could walk away with up to 10. He has so much wisdom, guys. So definitely have a notepad for this one. You're going to need it. And then at the end of this episode, just remember if you haven't signed up for the workshop that he's speaking at December 3rd, it is a retreat resort that you can be at with us from December 2nd through the 5th with amazing speakers, including Ray Myers, Jai Long, Justin Porter Media, Jack Callagher, and Layli Amati, and myself, Hannah McGinty. So just make sure that you sign up for that if you haven't, and I'm going to get on with the episode. So enjoy, have a notepad, and let's get listening. I'm feeling like a brand new me. For the very first time, I'm where I'm meant to be. Welcome to Outsmart the Hustle, where we turn hard work into smart work, helping you focus on the high-impact moves that drive your business forward without getting stuck in the grind. All right, so I know you've already been on our podcast, and I think that was like a general introduction to Ray Myers, EOS, and all of that. But I think one more would be really solid because genuinely they know all the wedding educators and everyone in that industry, and you're still very new to them. So I think introducing you again would be really helpful, and give you just a little bit more I guess, opportunities to speak to our audience and where they can trust you a bit more. So for this one, I wanted to talk more about your journey when it came to scaling and selling your businesses and your journey in entrepreneurship, so that they can relate to you and look at you and be like, oh my gosh, wow, Ray's awesome, which you are. So I want them to be able to see that. So are you ready to get started?
I am ready to get started.
Okay, perfect. So the first question here is, let's start at the beginning. What was your first business and what inspired you to start it?
Oh my goodness. I actually started my first business when I was 14. And unlike most kids that start businesses, mine wasn't fake. I called up the state comptroller, had a business license. I was the youngest business owner in the state of Texas. It was an art consignment resale store, but I grew up in an entrepreneurial community. I didn't realize it was entrepreneurs until I got older because it was all farmers and ranchers, and they didn't punch a clock. They didn't have a boss. So that was kind of an inspiration at a young age. And I went on and I've done nine total, so 8 others since then. That first one lasted a summer, but my goodness, did I learn a lot.
Yeah. Wow. So at 14, were there any outside influences that were like, you should start this as a business? Or you just at 14 were like, I should make this a business? Like what drew you to be like, let's make this legal? What were those surrounding mentors or forces?
There were a lot of good inspirations. First of all, like I mentioned, farmers and ranchers. So you don't always, when you think of entrepreneurs, that's not always the image that comes to your mind. And it certainly wasn't mine either. But, seeing that they didn't have a job, they didn't have a boss, they didn't punch a clock, they didn't have, set hours that were determined by somebody else. That was an inspiration. My mom was an entrepreneur her whole life. She did an upholstery shop with her friend. And I also ran into an art consignment reseller in a next door town. I said, hey, I can do this. So, and my town didn't have it. We had a lot of artists, but no real place for them to be able to sell their stuff. So
It's cool. So you went straight into problem solving at 14.
I didn't know that was what I was doing at the time.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly I found it's like, oh, I have to file accounting. Oh, I have to pay taxes. Oh,
Yeah.
I just rushed in like an idiot.
Yeah.
And then learned all of that the hard way. So
Yeah. To be fair, I feel like most of us do, though. We rush into entrepreneurship and then we realize all the not fun stuff
yeah,
later on. What
I've,
would
I've
you
heard it.
say was your built for this moment in entrepreneurship?
Am I built for this moment?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm very much a believer that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to have a vision in your head. You got to see things that other people aren't going to see. You've got to be passionate. But mine, the thing that's always driven me the most is problem solver. You mentioned that earlier. And I think all good and great entrepreneurs out there, they look around and all they see are all these problems that are so easy to solve. The biggest challenge as an entrepreneur is knowing which ones to go for because we're driven and we're risk takers, but it's easy to be scatterbrained as well. So I'd say the built for it was, anytime a gigantic problem just landed in my lap, and it's like, okay, this is what we do. Whenever problems land in our lap, then we charge straight into the danger and we do what we can to fix. I had a supplier whose software blew up on one of my companies, and we were desperately depending on their software. I knew the owner, so I called him and I said, "Hey, tell me what you need." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Do you need application developers? Do you need support people? Do you need janitors?" It's like, I'm going to bring people and we're going to fly to your location and we're going to help you fix this. And it's really funny. He says, "Wow, everybody else is just sending you lawyers." And
Mm.
I said, "Don't worry, we'll do that later. Right now, we've got a problem to solve and I want to be able to help solve it." Um, that's what we ended up doing. Built a great relationship out of that. Lasted a lot of years, just because it's lots of people whenever they see problems. It's not lots of people, but many people whenever they see problems, they just clam up, they shut down, they run away, and I think that built for it moments where you realize that no, the bigger the problem, the more I want to rush in. So
Yeah, that's good. So I'm sure that the audience is wondering, you have 9 businesses. We know about the art consignment one at the very beginning. Tell us about 2 through 8 or 2 through 9.
I worked in software most of my life, and that's part of being a good problem solver, using software to solve problems. I landed exactly the right time. I was starting my career whenever everybody was talking about this internet thing, which barely existed at the time. Yeah, I'm old, and so software companies that have handled everything from automotive inventory management to healthcare record management to golf instructional videos. It's like
You said golf?
I said golf. Yes, that's correct. Um, so online learning, online marketing, online education. And like I say, I was lucky that I landed at the time whenever, the internet was becoming a thing. But at the same time, I'd say to every entrepreneur, there's always a next wave. There's always something that's coming. So which one are you going to go jump on? And so we've got, biomedical engineering, we've got artificial intelligence, we've got all of these tools for helping creators to create so much better than they've ever been able to before. Everybody's got a chance to jump on this. So the question is that what you really want? So
Yeah, that's cool. So a lot of creatives and small business owners struggle with equating, I should say it like this. They equate struggle with scaling.
mm,
So what were the most pivotal moves you made when growing your businesses?
early on, it is so absolutely critical. When you first realize it's okay, I can't do this all by myself. I'm going to have to work with somebody else. Handling that first hire, it's so easy to just say, all right, I'm gonna go for my friend, or I'm gonna go for somebody that I barely know because I'm in a really big hurry and I don't want to waste a whole lot of time. Don't do that. That
Yeah.
first hire is so incredibly important. It sets the tone because up until now it's just been me, my work ethic, the talent that I bring, the values that I bring. If that next person doesn't compliment me in terms of those talents and doesn't share those same values, those same drivers, the same definitions for ethics, it's a disaster in the making. And I know it's hard to tell that to somebody who's just like, no, I just need number one. I need them cheap. I need them fast. I need them now. You're not doing yourself any favors if you're not able to make a copy of yourself who brings something else to the table that you don't. One
Yeah.
of the best pieces of advice I ever got was hire people who are smarter than you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 100% relate to that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. How did you decide what to delegate and when? Because are there any mistakes you'd warn others about when it came to that?
Sure, there. I always say mistakes or experience is proportional to the number of times you've screwed up. So by that definition, I'm very experienced because I've screwed up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I still do this exercise to this day. I will sit alone in a coffee shop and list all of the different things that I do that have to get done, and I just put them all onto a big long piece of paper, and then I sort them into four quadrants. Upper left is the stuff that I love to do, and I'm very good at it. The upper right is the stuff that I'm good at it, and I'm okay with doing it. The lower left I call the quadrant of personal hell. I am good at it, but I hate it, and as a result, everybody knows they can come drop that on my desk because I'm good at it. I just don't like it. And then there's that bottom right, which is the stuff that you're awful at and you hate. So it's easy when you do that. You can visualize. It's like, okay, great. Which ones of these things can I hire for? Can I automate? Can I eliminate? Can I streamline it in some way so that it doesn't hurt quite so much? The ones that are over on the left, it's like I'm good at them. Who can I train? Who can I teach? How do I turn this into a process? I mentioned AI earlier. There's so many things now that non-programmers can do just to put an AI to work for them. What I really want to do is be able to say how much of my time and that I love to do this and I am darn good at it. How much time do I get to spend in that quarter? And when I work with entrepreneurs who have started to scale, say they got, 10 employees, that's where the real magic happens. And their biggest mistake, mine too, at the time, was, well, I'm good at it and I don't have time to train anybody else in it. So I'll just keep doing it. And that was the quadrant of personal health. It requires a little bit of self-awareness, a little bit of introspection to realize that's what it is, so you can make that change. Otherwise, you're in there fighting the fires day in and day out. And it
Yeah.
seems awfully easy. It's like, yep, I can do this. I might as well. So
Mm, that was really good advice. I'm definitely gonna work on my quadrant
there you
when we're
go.
done with this podcast. That's great. So, what systems and structures play into scaling efficiently? I think that the one you just shared is a really good one. Is there another one that comes to mind?
The talk that I'm going to be giving in December, I'm going to cover
Hmm.
quite a few of those. I already know. It's like I'm going to cover 8 critical mistakes that you have to avoid, 8 things that you have to do early on in order to be able to get your business off the ground. 9 stages of business, ranging from, hey, it's just me, to, okay, I've got something with scale. We're going to do a real time assessment during that talk,
Love
and
it.
you will walk out of that with a range of scores that lets you know it's like, yeah, I need to build a 200-person business, or I need to build a 4-person business, or I need to make a lot of money working at this on my own. It's a solo game. It's
Nice.
different. It's different for everybody.
Hmm.
So having those tools, those techniques, the right mentors, the right kinds of books, the right kinds of processes around you makes a huge difference. The advice that I give to a lot of people, though, is keep it simple. I made the mistake of reading every single How to Build a Business book that came along, and all of them were well intentioned, and all of them had 2 or 3 pieces of really good advice in them. But if you can find a simple set of tools that is proven and practical and works over and over again, it's so much better than cafeteria, take what you want from this and that, mixing and matching. The tool set that I work with is 2 of them from Gino Wickman. One's called the Entrepreneurial Leap. It's for solopreneurs who are thinking about going into business. And then the Entrepreneurial Operating System, which is where I work with companies that have 10 to 200 employees. But in all of those cases, the goal is not to make something complicated. I don't want to be a consultant. I don't want to solve your problems. I want to teach you how to solve them for yourself, because you've got the talent and you've got the skill. The question is, do you have the time, the discipline, the focus? And lots of times that means slowing down, taking the time to look it through, keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Those 2 books, man, I wish I would have had them a whole lot earlier in my career,
Hmm.
because in my very last business is whenever I picked up my first book from Gino. And it was kind of a love at first sight moment. And it was a, well, where have you been all my life kind of moment. Because I'd been doing exactly what I just said. The piece of advice that I got from someone a while back was is always teach what you wish you had known.
Yeah,
So I try to stay true to that and teach the things I wish I would have known this. That's what I'm going to teach.
that's awesome. So let's talk exits. Out of 9 businesses, I would love to know, which ones did you sell? Which ones did you just close? Like, how did you know when it was the right time to sell when you did sell those businesses?
Fortunately, I had a really good experience early on with 2 businesses that were whenever I came on as an owner of one of the software companies, they brought me on specifically because I had merger and acquisition experience and they wanted to sell. So that one was an easy one. The first really big business that I'd sold 2 small ones at this point. I'm working with a partner, a great visionary partner, Stuart Lloyd, known him for 30 years. And I remember 2 things that I said because I was ready to sell and he wasn't. And I said, well, one of the things is we got to get past the arrogance that this place would fall apart without us. So we can get onto the ultimate arrogance, which is it can do just fine without us because we built something last. You can't exit a business until you're comfortable letting go of that vine, knowing that you've got the people and the processes in place so that it will continue to succeed without you, especially if you maintain an equity stake in it. The other thing, though, was kind of easy, though. We were young and stupid, and I pointed out that 1 month of our payroll was more than our combined net worth. So
Wow.
it was definitely time. It was time for somebody to come in with bigger pockets. I got great advice from M&A people at the time. They said hogs get fed and pigs get slaughtered. Don't be a pig. And by that, they mean don't be greedy. Don't hold on to that business. You need to build them to be able to run without you. Let go of that ego. You need to build them so that, if you die, your family has something of value that's left there. It's not about you. And
Hmm.
boy, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Because we're all very ego driven, and then had a couple of failures along the way. The golf one was a failure. Closed it down, sold off its assets, refunded money to my investors, but never went anywhere with that one. And one software company where that's a story that I won't get into right now, but
Hmm.
it did involve some criminal activity. So
Oh.
yeah, that's the choose the people thing again, though. Make sure
Yeah.
you're working with.
Wedding videographers and photographers. The Booked by Strategy Workshop is a 3.5-day in-person event this December 2nd through the 5th, built to help you attract aligned couples to your brand and book without discounting your worth. Hear from voices like Jai Long, Layli Amadi, Justin Porter, Jack Callagher, and me, Hannah McGinty. Only 40 tickets are being sold and spots are filling up fast. Click the link in the show notes or check out bookedbystrategy.com to snag your seat before it's gone. Was there emotional identity struggles tied to letting go of something that you built?
Oh, absolutely. Particularly with the first ones, way too many entrepreneurs, self-included back then. You look at it like it's your children. Um,
We
so
joke about that a lot too.
oh
We're like,
yes,
oh,
there's
this is my baby. And
so
it's just
much
kind of
time, so
normal to
much
talk
love, so
about.
much energy. This is my family. This is my
Hmm.
identity. Those are great feelings to have, but you've got to be able to disassociate and walk away from that if you want to do. If you've got shareholders, if you've got family, if you've got stakeholders, you've got customers, you're not doing them any favors by making it about your ego. I can see that being particularly hard with creatives. I'm not a photographer, but I am a musician, and we love to have people look at our work and ooh and ah over
Yeah.
it. And so yeah, ego is definitely a part of what we do. Had a really good former business partner friend. He was a graphics designer, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He told me a story about a college professor who said, for our final project, everybody's going to produce a work of art, and the topic is you. I want you to represent your soul, your values, and how you believe. The medium is your choice. It's like you want to do this in photography and sculpture and whatever. And so everybody produces their works of art. And they're going to have a big display that Saturday morning. Everybody gets to show off their work of art, and everybody gets to, have their moment in the spotlight. So everybody sets up their stuff on Friday night. And then the professor goes in later that night and vandalizes everybody's work of art.
Oh,
Everyone comes in shocked and horrified. What have you done? And he says, this is the very most important lesson I can teach you about commercial artistry. It's like pour your heart and soul into it because that's who you are. You're passionate, but realize your customers are sometimes idiots. And you've got to be able to say, it's not me that they're sabotaging. Gives me chills still.
yeah. Dang. Wise professor.
Oh,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a lesson I feel like we all need. That's really good. What is something that you did not expect about the selling process that caught you off guard?
You really need to have your legal as buttoned up as it can, your record keeping, really, really strong processes, really strong work for hire agreements in place. I'm not a lawyer, but I've learned some legal the really hard way. I had a business that, as soon as they found out we were selling, a former contractor came in and said, no, I own some of the intellectual property. They didn't,
Mm,
but I didn't have any paperwork to prove that. And my lawyers said, get over yourself. Christmas is coming early for this person. It's not fair, but pay them their shut up money and tell them to go away. I've had that happen a couple of times. Change of ownership clauses. Get a good lawyer. Don't do it on your own. It's just not that expensive in the long run to make sure that you're buttoned up really well.
yeah. Yeah, it's so good. We just started implementing work for hire contracts with our contractors.
Hold on
So,
to them really well. It's easier these days. You
yes.
get electronic record keeping. So
Hmm.
we were digging for a piece of paper. This is the early 2000s. So
Yeah. Oh man, that must have been hard.
oh, it was fun.
Ooh. Dang. Okay. So, what's the hardest season in your entrepreneurial journey? And how did you come out of it stronger?
It's when the world turns upside down. Is always the hardest season. I had a very active business during 9/11, had a very active business during the Great Recession, and a very active business during COVID. And in all of those situations, suppliers, vendors, customers just disappearing, the world changing overnight. And so it's not just, one particular season, but I'm a very big believer that this stuff comes in cycles. Whenever you find yourself in the middle of COVID, realize it's going to be a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's the new growth. Buckle down. Hang on to the stuff that's of value. Use it as an opportunity to learn. Use it as an opportunity to pivot because you're not going to grow or sell necessarily during that time. You get, some people in the right place in the right time. The worst business advice that I ever gave was to a former employee. He came to me and he said, very religious, he says, I want to create a live video streaming service for poor rural churches so they can stream their worship services online. I said, that's the dumbest idea ever. It's a solution, a problem in search of a solution. The churches don't have the money. They don't want the service. The people, they're rural, they don't have the
Hmm.
bandwidth to be able to do it. Really bad idea. He
Yeah.
said, going with it anyway. And then COVID.
Oh.
and suddenly his product was highly in demand, sold the company for millions. He's still a good friend. We joke about it all the time. He said the advice wasn't wrong. It's just that my timing was great. So
Mm, yeah, because this was right before COVID,
right
or
before COVID,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
he's got his service ready to go, and then every church has to close its doors. So
Wow. That's really cool. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, part of it is like, yeah, your product could suck, but the timing of the situation is just, it is what it is, right? Like I remember those TikTok leggings that were just so ugly, but because of COVID, everyone was like, yeah, I want it.
Yeah.
They were so ugly, but you never know. Um, all right, let me see. What has your definition of success? How has your definition of success evolved across the different businesses you've built? Like
It's
start from
literally
square one and then like how you look at it now.
Sure, absolutely. When I started it, so success was just survival. Um,
Hmm.
it's I have a degree in chemistry, but had no interest in doing chemistry as a career. Um, I am completely unemployable. Lots of people who start their own businesses are that way. So it was just, I want to survive. I want to be able to put food on my table.
Yeah.
I want to have a little bit of savings so that I've got a little bit of runway if something goes wrong. And that was my definition of success. Over time, it became, no, I want more freedom. I want the ability to choose which 23 hours of the day I work at the very least. And um, it evolves over time. Today, I look at five things and look at them consistently. This is another one of those sit in the coffee house kind of moments. And I advise every business owner to do that, because if all you do is fight fires all day, you're always working in your business. You're never taking a little bit of time to go work on your business, to
Hmm.
let all of the fires go away, let all of the stress drain away for a few minutes, and focus on a handful of important things. Like, what should I delegate was the one that we did earlier. But this one, I've got a list of five things. And I always ask myself, I rate myself on a scale of 1 to 10. How am I doing today? And I ask the first question is, am I doing something that I love? Am I truly passionate about it? Does it bring joy to my heart whenever I do it? Am I doing it with people that I love? Am I surrounded by people who share my values, who are great at their jobs in different ways from me? And as a result, they challenge me, they complete me. Am I making a big difference? Because I could be doing the first two and not making any kind of a difference. I need to feel that sense of importance, that sense of autonomy, mastery, and purpose. The next one is, am I compensated correctly? Lots of entrepreneurs can get the first three of those down, but they're doing it by paying the people and not paying themselves.
Hmm.
You're kidding yourself whenever you do that. Compensation is important. And the last one is, do I have time for other passions? Am I able to step away from work and do things that are completely unwork related? And there have been times, where I've had, 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5. Um, that's the norm. But if you take the time to say, all right, where am I hurting right now? And if it's, you discover it's number 5, it's time for other passions. Okay, this is what I'm going to prioritize next. How do I get some time back? And lots of times that's just buy your time back. Um, the old adage of, you can't make millions doing $20 an hour work. Um,
Yep.
yeah, don't do that $20 an hour work.
Yep.
Save your time, save your mental energy for the stuff that really adds value.
Fantastic. For our note takers, can you bullet point what you just said with
Yep,
the top, is it four or
the top
five?
five. Top
Five?
five.
Yes.
Yeah, it's doing what you love
Yep.
with people that you love, making a huge difference, being compensated appropriately, and having time for other passions.
It's good.
That's the
So
definition of
good.
quality life.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, what is one mindset set shift every founder needs if they want to build a business that can be sold?
Once again, you've got to make it not about you. That's probably the very biggest one. And I apologize for piling on, but that's certainly the one that comes to mind.
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
If everything lands on your desk, if every decision has to go through you, then you're never going to be successful. You're never going to be able to sell it. You're never going to be able to scale it. And the two or three things that you have to do to get past that, one is, hire remarkably good people who are good at taking things away from you. The very first time that I ever hired an executive assistant, she was wonderful, because I told her, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've never had an executive assistant before. I don't know what to do. And she says, here's the way that we're going to work this. She says, every Monday, I'm going to come by and I'm going to sit on your desk until you give me 3 things that I can do that you will never, ever do again. And so she
Great.
forced me into delegating, and I loved her for it. But yeah, surround yourself by people who will do that, who will take work.
Hmm.
I'll be honest with you, they'll help you see your blind spots. And don't name the business after you.
Yes.
That
That's
makes
a big one in our industry too. Everyone's
I
naming
could
it
certainly
first,
see
last
that.
name photography or something.
Yeah. Now, if your goal is to stay a solopreneur and to be a great
Yeah.
artist, I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
If
Personal
your
brand.
if your goal is to grow and to scale a business, then you got to get past that. The ego that everybody has, but it seems like artists just have it in spades. And we love the spotlight. Can't help
Hmm.
ourselves.
So you've seen behind the curtain on a lot of businesses. What's the biggest common mistake you see that holds people back from real growth?
Just a lack of emotional honesty among the
Mm,
team. It's easy. If you're the big boss, you're the one who signs the paycheck. You're the one with the name on the door. You don't realize the impact that that has on people and how they will not tell you when you're messing up, how they'll just turn into mess people. Um, you need to develop a culture of open and honest and truly expect that from people. And so what that means is whenever somebody comes to you and says, "Hey boss, in my opinion, I think you're doing this wrong," your very first reaction is thank you. Thank you for having the courage to come and tell me that. Whether I
hmm.
agree with you or not, thank you for
Right.
coming to tell me, and reward that over and over, so that everybody feels that same way. Your very most junior employee should know they're empowered if they see an issue.
Hmm.
Let's raise it. Let's not sweep it under the rug. Let's not hope that it will go away. Let's address it. Let's identify a root cause. Let's bring in our best minds to discuss it. And most importantly, let's stop discussing eventually and decide what are the next steps we need to do to make this go away for the greater good of the business forever. Forever.
Yeah.
Um, the first time that I said that and really meant it, it was such an incredibly refreshing experience. And it's
Mm,
like, particularly if I'm the problem. And sometimes I am. So,
yeah. Yeah, that's so good. Thank you, Ray. I have my final question coming up. And on the Outsmart the Hustle podcast, a lot of our listeners struggle with burnout. And so we're trying to help them overcome that burnout and just be smarter workers. For those listening who feel stuck in their business or just completely burn out, what's one tool or concept they should explore today?
mm, I wish I could take it down to just one, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
no, I mean,
I'm
share
going to I'm
however
going to give
much.
you a short list.
Yeah, good.
Don't cheat your sleep. And this is I'm gonna sound like somebody's mother here, but don't cheat your sleep. Sleep is extremely important. Develop a
Hmm.
good sleep quality. Don't cheat your exercise. Don't cheat your diet. Don't cheat your time of spending with people that you love. If all that you're doing is thinking, all right, if I work a little bit harder, if I work a little bit longer, then I can make this go away. That's a treadmill that you'll never get off of.
Hmm.
A way to get past hitting the ceiling, that growth has plateaued, that I am burned out, I don't have anything left to give. Unless something changes, then nothing will change. So you have to step away from it. It's counterintuitive because I always feel like, yeah, if I work a little harder, a little faster, a little smarter, I can make the difference. I had a great mentor many years ago. He wrote a book, and in it he talked about a fly beating its head against a window, trying to get out of a restaurant, banging its head against the window over and over again. He said, I watched the fly and I knew what was going to happen. It would die on the windowsill, and somebody would come along and scoop up its dead body. And everything that fly wanted was 10 feet away in an open door.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a beautiful story. And I knew the fellow pretty well. Price Pritchett is his name, Dr. Pritchett, here in Dallas. And I marched down to his office and I said, Hey, Price, I just read the fly in the window story. And he said, Well, what did you think? And I said, It was a good story. I know why you wrote it. It would have made a better impression on me if it weren't for the number of times that I broke the damn window. And he just looks at me with his wise voice and said, Ray, don't you think your head would hurt a lot less if every now and then you took the door?
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't be that fly in the window. So,
Yeah. Or the fly breaking the window.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's better than dying, but
Oh, yeah, I guess so, but you're still
doors are
you're
good.
bleeding on the way out. So but great. Thank you, Ray. I think this has been a lot of wise words of wisdom and advice. And so This is just going to be an incredible podcast episode for anyone who's listened to it. I know that they're taking away at least 5 things from this podcast that they could start implementing today. So thank you so much. We are really excited to have you come on in December. Guys, it's December 3rd where Ray is going to speak to our VIP. So if you haven't signed up for the workshop yet, definitely sign up for that workshop because it's going to change the way that you do business and set you on a good path for 2026. So we'll see you guys in December. Ray, is there anything you want to say to anybody? Well,
No,
before we leave?
I think I'm good. I appreciate this. I always enjoy working with you. I look forward to meeting all the folks in December. So
All right, perfect. Well, thanks, Ray.
I'ma tell everybody I'm feeling like a brand new me.
Outsmart the Hustle is produced by Booked by Strategy, a film business course, hosted by Hannah McGinty and edited by Manuel Mesa. Follow us at Booked by Strategy literally anywhere for more creative business tips and freebies, and check out the course and live workshop that happens every year at www.bookedbystrategy.com.